G'day everybody, you know who it is. It's that time of the weekend. It's the best time of your week when you push the play button and you get to hear the dulcet tones of the great man, Jamie Wallis, and the co-host with the most, his co-host tonight, Chris Pepper, to take you through a massive round 17 of AFL football. Great to have everybody here, whether you're watching us live on Facebook, whether you're listening to us via your podcast app, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, you're getting the number one AFL podcast, not affiliated with any club. You name it, I'll say it. Thank you for joining us. It was a huge weekend of football. And to discuss it, it's simply this. You know, Batman had Robin. Like we said last week, Dirk Diggler had Rollerboy. Well, Tango has Cash. I'm Tango. J-Dog to Jamie Wallis. He's Cash. Mate, can I say one thing? What an epic week of football that could have potentially shaped everything going forward towards the finals.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Okay, everybody. If you don't know what happened last week, Melbourne played Fremantle. Actually, no, they didn't. They played the Port Adelaide in the Tumpus Roden Watts Cup. And if you're not too sure of the result, it was the Melbourne Football Club taking out the win. And based on the look of Jamie's face throughout the game, and as we record this right now, he's not a very happy chappy, and I can understand.
Peps.
One team turned up to play and the other one didn't. But
we're
all about the mental welfare. We're all about, checking in, looking after our mates and seeing if you're okay. And that's what it's all about.
I'm looking forward to a couple of our dickheads who are going to join us in our chat just laying into me already. Like, I already know it's coming. I know it's coming. I went out strong with the prediction on Thursday we're going to win, knowing that wasn't going to happen, and I'm waiting for it.
Okay, so how about we do this? Look, we've got so much to get through, so many topics to discuss. Let's get straight into it. Before we do, once again, if you're looking to get a new footy, it is cold. It doesn't matter. You've got hallways, haven't you? You've got pergolas or entertainment. Have a kick out there. Quick hands. Go to sharon.com.au, pick yourself up a new footy, throw lace out in the checkout, get 30% off, and you'll thank us later.
On the way home.
On the way home.
Swing by the Macpac store, get yourself a puffer jacket. That's not endorsed by Peps and I, but hey, I like the product. I'm gonna promote it.
Awesome. And while you're at it, go to the Thirsty Camel, pick up some Canadian Club, drink responsibly. That's what I celebrated a great win on Thursday night with. And you know what, Jamie? It's already happened. Jazz Ruboy Chatsy. How funny is it, right? So Ruboy, haven't seen him for weeks. North win. Hello, first on. He said, Port lost, all good. Can't ask for much more than that. That's the type of community we have here at Lace Out. But, buddy boy, where do you want to begin? Where do you want to start? Should we start with the ladder? Should we start with around the grounds? Where do you want to go from this one, mate?
Let's go with the ladder first.
All right. Peps. Let's have a look at the ladder for after round 17. And top of... Sorry. The air got a bit thin again up there at the top of the ladder again for the D's on 52. One game clear of the Western Bulldogs after their capitulation against the Sydney Swans. Going to 48 points, exactly the same with the Geelong Cats. Now, sitting underneath there, it's three teams fighting for that fourth spot. Is it going to be the Brisbane Lions or is it Porth, who both had pretty shocking losses on the weekend, I must say? Sydney Swans, are they the sleeper for this year?
No.
We'll have a chat about that. Fremantle and West Coast Eagles. We'll get to them in a moment as well. Rounding out the 8. Outside, I'll tell you what, they cannot be called shit Kilda after what they've rolled out the last couple of weeks. And I'll get into that because someone might be getting some votes. They're sitting on 32 points, but they've got a massive, probably a couple games difference on percentage. And they're going to have to make it up in the next couple of weeks. Don't know how they're going to do it. GWS lost again. Crikey, every time that they take a step forward, they go one step back. What the hell are they thinking? You've also then got Essendon, had a pretty tough kill against Adelaide. Richmond,
Tough.
how good is it? Richmond going to 12th. Bring back the 90s.
Great.
Bring back, was Richmond, Richard was running around. And
it's been a good 3 weeks.
It's been a tough 3 weeks, hasn't it?
Oh.
I actually spoke to someone at work today.
No.
And they said, who do you follow? I said, yeah, I did. And they said, who do you barrack for? I said, barrack for Melbourne.
Yeah.
They go, who do you barrack for? I said, he goes, I don't want to talk about it. I said, what's wrong? She goes, It's not that good. It's tough at the moment. And I just said, what are you talking about? Do you barrack for North or Hawthorn? She goes, no. So what do you barrack for Collingwood? She goes, no. I said, Carlton. It can't get much worse than that. She goes, no. I said, who is it? She goes, oh, Richmond. And I just looked at her and gone, you're kidding, aren't you? You've lost. And that's when you just walk out the room and go, you know what? Just be humble.
Peps.
All right.
She's
Then you got
probably
Carlton, Gold Coast. Their Sprouts are back. They're coming. The Suns, they're pushing. I'll tell you what, they're only 2 games out of the 8 right now and have a better percentage than St Kilda. You got Collingwood, you got Adelaide, you got Hawthorn, and you got the team that is just setting it alight at the moment, North Melbourne. If you're not excited, they're on 14 points, but what they've rolled out probably in the last 10 weeks of footy, David Noble, you have got something special going on down there. That's the ladder for round 17. People on the chat right now, or if you're listening to that, drop us a message. What was the surprise over the weekend? J-Dog, do you see any changes to that final 8? Because honestly, nobody wants to keep a spot in the 8 at the moment, and no one wants to keep a spot in the top 4.
No, it's that was when you thought that after the Thursday night match of Port Adelaide Melbourne was done, you would have thought, okay, teams are just going to lock themselves in now. All smooth sailing. But wowee, Peps, wowee. What a week that has completely... Well, once again, I don't give praise to St Kilda very often, but thank you, St Kilda, for knocking over Brisbane. That helped our top 4s after our shit display.
It was beautiful to see that. Absolutely love it.
Peps, for me, top 8. No, I still think that the top 8 has got some wiggle room. I think the top 5 is pretty much locked in.
Top 5? I'll tell you what, the top 3's locked in.
Yeah.
There's 3 teams shooting for that 4th spot, and I reckon there's about 5 teams shooting for the last couple of spots after that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. You know what? And you know when you said it's going to come? It's going to come. Well, here we go. Look at the St Kilda supporters. Milne's back, opening himself with this one. Saints, the most informed team in the comp right now. Kiss my ass, Lions. Oh, we're going to get onto them in a moment. You also bring in, Jack Carrington-Jones. What about Fremantle kicking 8, not kicking 8-18? See what happens if you kick straight, Fremantle? Things can happen towards you. Awesome to see. He's dropped another one. Saints to turn the power off early on Saturday night. Sunday morning headline, I'll call it now. Jeez, he's already going early, hasn't he?
He's going early. Look. It's not going to
even the doggies. Look at the doggies. Too many injuries. They are a different team. You know what, Mossy? You're an absolute legend of a bloke, but I can tell you now, any team that has injuries, the fittest team wins the flag. That's how it's working at the moment. If you can keep your team fit, you've got a massive chance of winning the flag. And you have a look at the teams that are struggling at the moment. There are only a couple of people short, and a perfect example is St Kilda. You watch. They lose either Marshall or Rydell or just a couple of extras, they are in deep trouble again. But they are doing some great things at the moment. It's the greatest reality show in the world, AFL football. You can't beat it. We love our sport. It is good to be a football supporter right now.
Peps.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's talk about the Port Adelaide Melbourne game quickly.
All right, let's get through it quickly. Rightio. You start and I'll just feed in the gaps because we won. So I can pick out the good bits. But where did it go wrong for your mob?
Peps. Furious is not a word that can even encapsulate what I was feeling on Thursday night. Melbourne are a better team than us. Hands down, Melbourne, way better team, way classier. I texted you from early on saying there's just class oozing out of Melbourne.
Who impressed you the most for the Ds? Because we can go through the 22, 23 if you count. But
it was
who caught your eye to go, or what was it that caught your eye from an opposition to say, geez, they've got something that I haven't seen for quite a while?
Transition from forward centre of the ball, like Clayton Oliver, Petrarca running through there. You had Bailey Fritsch on one, and then you were just running through. Like every clean possession you had looked like a millionaire's position versus Port Adelaide, where it was taking 40, 30 possessions to get a goal. You guys would just bang, 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 goal. Either led off the halfback by Lever or May. And even Jaden Hunt did some amazing stuff. Yeah.
Remember in 2018, he sort of came of age coming off the half-back line, used to come off the back of the square, those sort of things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or they've put him back and his confidence has grown.
Yeah.
I said the week before, he was trying to do something, trying to make something of a game where they couldn't, and GWS. You throw a big Krusty the Clown vegan into the team.
Straightens it
Look
up.
what happens. It just straightens everything up. He leads forward. It drags a hole, a vortex for Petrarca to run into, Cozzy to run into. It just makes life. They went 1 week too late. That was the worst thing about it. They should have done it a week ago against the Giants.
And what was the score? I think you guys scored like 50 from turnovers or something like that, or something.
It was a ridiculous amount. It was a ridiculous
crazy amount. Anyway,
but the pressure early on, that was finals football. It was finals like. That was the text going back. It was finals like football, and it was just like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? But it's just awesome at the moment, and they've all bought into the fact team first footy.
Yeah,
but the biggest acquisitions, having Uze there, having Choco Williams there, to just bring some freshness to the place. We haven't won anything yet. It's 17 rounds. There's still six to go and finals.
They don't hand them out in July, Peps.
Pardon?
They don't hand them out in July.
They don't hand them out in July, and that's why people are going, Lid's, mate, Lid's still on. Lid has to be on. We can enjoy it, but we've got to – it's Melbourne. If it was any other team, you go, Lid's off, you're safe. It's Melbourne.
Peps.
Yeah, buddy.
Two things. This tells you why – well, I've got Vossi here, right? But I could almost put in there a bit of Ken as well.
Oh, Ken.
Just somewhere else. Okay, two
Kenny.
things. Why would you put Charlie Dixon, our 800-plus full forward, into a ruck role? That's one decision he's been doing through the season. Not only that, Peps, he doubled down and put in the only defender who was doing something back there, Aaliyah, into the centre ruck. And just for the last half of football, let's put our best defensive intercept marker into the forward line for half a game and completely take him out of the game for the whole second half. If that does not scream dickhead, I don't know what does.
Well, you know what also screams dickhead? Is Carlton literally doing the same thing with Patrick Cripps.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Put a guy in who is literally on his last legs at the moment with the way his body is, and we'll just throw him into the ruck. Just put the dude on ice. You're not going to make finals. Just get him he's got to be sponsored by Elastoplast or 3M or Scotch or whoever makes the tape. Because the amount of tape, he's got more sticky tape than Bruce Reed holding him together.
At the moment, every joint has got tape on it.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. Look, and I'm hearing it now. Mate, there is a lot of hate coming out for Big Dixon. Dixon is a spud from Big Buzz. Buzz is back again. That must mean Saints won. Saints win, Buzz is back. All right? There's a lot of thrash coming out.
If we see Buzz every week, if St. Kilda win, I'm happy with that result. I love Buzz.
Buzz loves the show, and we love Buzz. It's even better when he comes back after a win.
Oh God. Anyway, so that was my gripe. The other gripe I had was just nothing. I'm done. I'm done with Kenny.
You're just done with Kenny. Well, you know what I'm not done with?
What done with that?
All right. Can we just go straight into spinning the magnets?
Oh.
Because I think we need to do this right off the bat. I don't know if I know you've got yours ready. I've got mine ready.
Okay.
But I want to just take us back a step. All right. Oh, sorry, Buzz, you've won 3 in a row. Well, that's good. Fantastic. Good work, Saints.
Hey, Peps.
Yep.
How come Port Adelaide cannot replicate what the 3 bottom teams can do to Melbourne? Dickhead, Kenny. Look at that. Just look at that. Look what they did.
Oh, look. And
I'm still dirty.
I'm going to get into this in a moment. It's going to be part of my votes because I spoke to one of my mates during the week after the Doggies loss, and he said something about the top 8 pretenders. Because are there too many pretenders in the top 8? And I'm going to incorporate that into my drag, if that's okay. So can we start with a bit of Ron?
There's too many pretenders.
All right, we're going to start with a bit of Ron. Let's start with a bit of Ron, everybody.
Haley off.
Okay, so one vote. What are you tipping? What a complete waste of time football tipping is. If anybody can walk out and say that they pick 6 on the weekend, it just purely goes to show that you've got no idea, and you're probably the same person who gets the trifecta on Melbourne Cup Day every single year.
I tip 7 on the weekend.
You get the quaddie on Melbourne Cup Day.
I'm the best tipper in the country.
Beaten by my kids. And they didn't even tip anyone. They didn't even pick anybody, and they got more winners than me. The kiss of death beat me. Oh, it was an absolute pisser, though, when you see all the people who played their joker. If anybody knows when you play a joker in footy tipping, you get double. And they came out with scores of 4, 6,
Sucked in.
8, sucked in. So I have no empathy for you all. Sucked in. Footy tipping sucks right now. Okay. Now, listen. It doesn't get better. Good old Charlie Keegan. Christ on a bike if you pick 6. You must be Nostra effing Damas. Charlie, you just keep coming back every week, my friend, because that's the absolute guns. Here's an interesting fact. The donk, Ross Bartlett, if you picked all the away teams, you would have got 8. I think that's why my kids went well. They just got the away teams.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, good on you. Donk, he's coming back. He's a little bit upset at the moment because Richmond aren't doing that well, only after, winning 3 of the last 4 flags. They're going through a lull at the moment. All right. 2 votes. Who's the biggest whinger in the AFL?
Richmond?
Richmond? No.
No.
There's a bigger whinger.
There's a bigger whinger in the AFL than that.
The biggest whinger that whenever something goes wrong to his team, he has to have a sook. Can I give you an example?
Max
I'm in the
Gawn.
coach's box.
What's Chris Scott want, Peps? What does he want?
Chris Scott's come out this week and gone, the game is far too long.
He said it last season as well, didn't he? It was Patrick Dangerfield.
No. Mossy's come out with who whinges? All Bombers supporters. I agree. But Chris Scott, whinging that the game is way too long. Well, hold on, Captain Stubing. If you're in charge of Dad's army, when you've got, 11 moving into 12 players over 30 years of age, obviously, you want the game to be shorter because it suits your team more. It's a game of attrition. It's a game of endurance. Don't hire people over 30, all right? Yeah, it worked last year because the games were shorter. None of us whinge. The only thing we want the game to go faster if umpires just throw the ball up a little bit quicker. If they throw the ball in and not actually wait for the ruckman to get there. Or it's all these little nuances. If they just did it straight away, you'd knock off a couple of minutes a quarter and no one would care less.
Well, how much shorter they want it? Because technically they didn't turn up after halftime in the grand final last year. So how much shorter do they want it? Do they want 8-minute quarters?
Oh, they only want halves. They don't want a second half of games because they don't turn up for them. Unbelievable. You just don't have a sook, champ. Like, seriously, we're sick of it. All right? I didn't dominate for 377 games down at EK asking for shorter games.
No,
I ran them out, mate. I ran them out.
You ran them out on the bench.
We all ran them out.
On the bench.
But I still ran them out, Jamie, along the boundary. I ran them out with my teammates.
It's amazing what a sip of beer can do over the fence for the last quarter.
Oh, just throw me a Jimmy can, mate, at 3/4 time and I'm anyone's. Rightio. Now, I've got to give 3 votes to these teams. Brisbane and the Doggies. Do you want to slot in, do you want to lock in a top position or a top 4 spot? You had the perfect opportunity against teams on the weekend in games that were literally your home deck or home state and you threw them away. But then you would take it one step further. Wet toast, Richmond, GWS, 3 teams that are fighting to keep their spot in the 8, and you blew it all. Wet toast, we're going to get into a minute. If you weren't cheering home the Kangaroos last night, you are not a football aficionado. It was sensational to see that bunch of arrogants who have been running around for weeks and doing nothing get beaten by a team that just wanted it more.
Hey.
Richmond.
Didn't my boy put on a show last
Richmond
night?
Now. They're done. They're cooked, mate. Trade them all out. Cochin's done. Rewalt's done. Just get rid of them. Dusty's overrated. He shouldn't even be in the team of the year, All-Australian. My butt. And last but not least, GWS, you're useless, okay? Just when you go and beat a top team, you go and lose to my favourite second team being Gold Coast. Nobody wants to slot in. Nobody wants to grab a hold in the 8. There's only a couple of teams that actually want it and take the opportunity to take it. It's a disgrace. You're letting your supporters down, but Jesus, keeping the season interesting and keep bringing us back every week.
It is.
So that's my drags for this week.
Right.
1 to tipping, 2 votes, Chris Scott. 3 votes to those 2 teams. If you want a spot in the 8, grab it with both hands.
I like it.
God.
Strong. Peps? It's JW's theme of the round.
Oh, here we go.
This week,
yep,
we've got ourselves the teams that are westerly of Footscray. I'm talking about the Wild West. I'm talking about all the teams in the western part from Victoria. So if you're looking at a map and Tasmania's at the bottom, and you're going, there's Victoria, there's Footscray, every other team beyond that point has had an absolute mare over the weekend. Let's start with Adelaide. Ticking off their lowest score in AFL history. 22 points. And
scary, wasn't it?
No forward. No Tex. No forward.
Tex, no Adelaide. No Tex, no Adelaide.
Concerning, because you and I said that they were probably ahead of the curve in terms of where their rebuild was going, but that has just put them back probably into where, I don't know, they're 16th now on the ladder. They started really well. They're now 16th on the ladder. That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but I think there's actually a team that won on the weekend that I think at the start of the year and after 7 rounds you would have gone, this is they've got no future. Okay.
All right.
I would say now that they're in a better position than Adelaide, which I never thought they would be. But based on what I saw, if you're, and you know who I'm going to talk about.
I do.
Yeah,
but
we won't let it out of the bag just yet.
No, don't you fall out of the bag. All right, number 2, Port Adelaide. What the F?
I'll put the explicit label on this one. Just say it.
Dickheads. Just dickheads. What an opportunity to do something and you do nothing. And Zach Butters is injured for another 6 weeks. Fuck. Fucking terrible night. Anyway.
Who was that?
Anyway.
Who got injured again?
Zach Butters.
Oh, Butters. He got spreaded.
Dersma's due back this week. It would have been the what's it called? Clash of the Titans. We would have had Rosie, Butters, and Dersma back. Anyway, we can't have that. They can't have nice things put Adelaide this year. All right. Number 3. West Coast. WTF. What was that? You get the lead. You've got momentum. You've got everything going for you. You've got the umpire's bias. You've got all your dickhead fans over there screaming from the things. And it just, you can't even touch a North Melbourne player can't even get touched without getting ball called. It's wet. It's everything in your conditions, and you absolutely choked up another home game. That would have made a massive difference to your season. I think that they're probably... I know, I'm not going to make a statement like that just yet.
No, say it. Just say it. Say it.
I think they're done, Peps.
They're done. At one stage, they were down by 15.
Yep.
They were down by 15. Then they got it. Actually, they were down by 15. Then they got it all back to be in front by 12.
Yep.
And then North went bang, bang, bang.
Yep.
Now, this is in front of a crowd that yells ball when anyone yells ball when they get a testicular exam. Or when somebody goes and takes a whiz at a urinal, that crowd yells ball. That's how biased they are.
This is a crowd that yells ball when a seagull gets a chip. They're trigger happy.
They're shocking. They are shocking. They're not as bad as Essendon supporters, though, but they're bad.
It was pretty good, though, seeing when they don't win and the kangaroo song came on. That was great. I loved that.
Oh, that was beautiful. And look, you know what made it even sweeter?
Yep.
It was that they had all the talent on the park and the rain just brought the game down to who wanted it more.
Yep.
And the team that wanted it more, and it showed in the last 10 minutes of that game who wanted it more.
It was good.
I couldn't have been prouder of North.
Oh, it was good. It was a good win.
I won't get into them just yet because they might be getting some votes.
Okay. All right, Peps. That's our Barassi. That's our spin the night.
All righty. Well,
drag.
My friend, it is time for my vote.
Oh, have you knocked your microphone out? I can't hear you anymore. Can anyone else hear Peps? Or just me? No. Has Peps gone silent? I think Peps has got overly excited. He's blown a fuse on his own system. Chris, have we got you back? No. Chris, don't go blaming the kids. You blame the kids every time. You've had that system in front of you now for like 4 years.
Right now?
Yeah, we're good.
I want to keep pulling it out because she's too busy talking to her friends. I'm not going to blame her. We dropped a connection. Sorry, dudes. Sorry. All right. So, what have we got?
3 votes.
All right. My 3 votes.
Rightio.
First of all, I've got to go to the Saints. They've had 3 wins in a row, but 2 massive scalps over the last couple of weeks. We've got Richmond, and then they come out on the weekend and they decimated a Brisbane team. Now, I will say something. Eric Hipwood going down with an ACL was a massive one for Brisbane because they literally go to him 25% of the time when they go into the forward 50. Okay? It made it difficult. They had to change it all. It just turned Danaher into the main forward. He doesn't play well as the main forward. And as you saw, it was a little bit like the D's the week before where they had just Fritsch and McDonald as the key targets. They needed that third to free it up a little bit, and they just got lost and they just weren't able to kick a score.
I'll play. I'll play.
Yeah, what's that?
I'll play for them if they need.
Oh, they might as well play. It's too short. Ryder and Marshall, okay, sensational. This team is so much better when those 2 players play together. And also just some of the – Jack Steele, absolute gun. Now, there's been a bit of commentary going around. Is he the best captain going around right now? That is a little bit questionable because there are a couple of captains who are playing some sensational footy at the moment and leading their teams, and I won't go into them. But the Bont probably goes all right. Gorney probably goes all right as well too. Selwood goes okay, and then you could leave it out to anybody else down there as well too, all right? But here's the thing with St Kilda. I reckon what they should do is go and get a sticker put on all of their jumpers saying no diving because they don't have much depth. And if you try and dive at the St Kilda end, because of the lack of depth, you could get hurt quite quickly, and we've seen that. If you only have to get a couple of injuries and back down the gurgler they go. But what they did on the weekend was sensational. This is what they should have been doing all year, okay? They should have been doing it all year, and they didn't. Can't cry over spilt milk because it's happened. Too bad, too sad. This is the St Kilda that they promised after winning a final last year. Isn't it interesting? St Kilda struggling to get a spot in the 8 after winning a final. The Doggies lose last year and then straight back up again. So it's nice to see them get some exposure there. So that's first. Now, the second thing I want to bring up, now, if everybody knows, if you don't know, I'll go into it, but Jamie and I on Thursday nights or Wednesday nights, depending on when the game is, we do a little segment, a little podcast called Tipped Out. It's our tips for the weekend. If you haven't listened to it, it's only about 20 minutes in length, but it's sensational because we go through our tips. And we do put our agates on the line every single week. And I just want to take you a step back by last week. And I said this talking about a certain team, about their chances on the weekend. If the Gold Coast from last week turn up, I reckon they'll do a number on the Giants. All right, this is my upset for the weekend. Suns to win this in a nail-biter. I said that on Tipped Out last week, and wasn't the Grand Poobah, wasn't Timberlake.
You're on.
Absolutely correct. And it was in a narrow one as well too. GWS, I don't know what you want. You've got the engine of a Ferrari, but you've got the performance of a Datsun 120Y. You're pathetic.
They're worth a lot
to
of
the
money.
Giants. I'll tell you what,
a lot of money,
mate. I'll tell you what, the Suns. I just watch them and I just get excited by them because they've got Tuke Miller. If he's not in the All-Australian team this year, that's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. He's got to be in there. He is a gun.
Okay.
Oh, Jamie. Listen,
okay. He'll be in the squad. He'll be in the squad.
No, he's got to be in there. At least put him on the bench. He's had a better year than Dustin Martin, and Dustin Martin will get in. He's had a better year than Patrick Dangerfield. Dangerfield will get in. It's just the way it happens because he's a favourite. He should be in there, and I'm putting it now. Put the other agates on the line. He'll probably poll, I reckon, in the top 5, potentially in the Brownlow, if they can pinch another couple of wins. Because every time Gold Coast win, he gets votes. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely guaranteed. Right. So there's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second one that I went to poll into, and this is getting my 3 votes, I also said this on the same night last week. If the Gold Coast from last week turn up, I reckon they'll do a number on the Giants. That's the wrong one. This is my upset for the weekend. Suns to win this in a nail biter. Hold on. If the Gold Coast, I also said that the Kangaroos would beat West Coast. I said the Kangaroos would beat West Coast. Why didn't that work? Well, anyway.
Did you literally just record the same thing on your button just twice?
No, I transferred the wrong file across. But I will say one thing, though. I will say one thing to celebrate how good North were magnificent.
They were.
For West Coast, you are the definition of stupidity, which is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting something different.
Yeah.
You keep the same players in the team every single week. It is dumb. It is stupid. You don't even swing the axe. And when you swing the axe, you go to the low-hanging fruit. Chop out a big name. You have to cut some of these big names because they're not performing. Simple as that.
I like it.
It was 18th versus 7th.
Correct.
What a win.
Yeah.
Mate, Nick Larkey, 3 goals. Cameron Zurha, 10 score involvements. Jaden Stevenson, who's given the double digits, the double birds, Jamie's son, the double birds over to Collingwood. Isn't he sitting back going, absolutely loving it. 38 touches, 150 fantasy points. What about Cunnington? The hyphen, Davies Uniacke. We've also got Taron Thomas. What about Zeebel's punch in the last couple of minutes and the smile on his face to say, I am loving this team right now? Simkin. Can I also throw out some special love?
No.
To Todd Goldstein. He's now officially has the record for AFL/VFL hitouts, 8,502. He holds the record. David Noble, very, very well done. It was sensational. And there's only one thing, Jamie, we can do to celebrate the Kangaroos. And it is simply this.
Kanga, kanga, kanga.
Roo, roo, roo.
Kanga, kanga, kanga.
Roo, roo, roo.
Kanga.
Roo.
Kanga.
Roo. Kangaroos. 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 Kangaroos.
You gotta love them. Kangaroos supporters, celebrate everything about the great game because, my God, it's just efforts like last night that make me love this game.
Hey, Peps.
God, you were great.
Peps, there's only one thing that played harder than last night's the Kangaroos team.
Yep.
Was Ben Cunnington's hair plugs.
Oh, jeez.
They were on show. Good work, Cunners. Just
I was looking for where to plug the mic in.
Jeez.
That was the only thing that wasn't plugged in that night.
I'm proud of him. You know what? He said, no, I'm not going to go down the J-Wall route. I'm just going to get hair plugs. I like it.
Yep. He went, yeah, and I go, nah.
I like it. All right, Peps, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
All right. Peps.
Yes, mate.
My theme, J-Wall's theme for this one, can you remind everyone, it's a bit of a lead-in, Peps, because that's our job. We like to use leading questions. Mm-hmm. Leading question is, what is the premiership quarter, Peps, in AFL?
That would be the third quarter, Jamie.
That would be the third quarter. Okay. I'm going to say something here, and I don't want to get all David King on our listeners, Peps, but I'm going to drop some facts.
Do it.
Teams who kick a lot of goals in the last quarter win games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got that? Is that are you clear with that, Peps?
I'm clear with that.
Good. All right. So just because you're leading in the third quarter does not mean you're safe, Peps.
The Gold Coast from last.
Stop playing with the buttons.
I'm not. I'm trying to just get it back to normal.
It's just gone now. Anyway, St. Kilda were down in the third quarter. And you're thinking, oh, here we go. No. Not on the watch of Marshall and Ryder. They said, I'm going to turn this around. And they turned it around, Peps.
They've got to play two ruckmen. They've got to play two ruckmen.
Fourth quarter.
They just give them first touch.
Fourth quarter is the new premiership quarter, Peps. I'm going to make it a slogan. Make Vossi coach again. Fourth quarter, premiership quarter. Peps, North Melbourne went down in the third. They went down in the fourth. But tell you what, that fourth quarter, premiership quarter, they got the lead back, they got momentum back, and they just buried West Coast. And Peppy.
I could just do that all night. That's how good they were. God, give
Let's
them
just
the love.
go. One more, Peps.
All right.
The greatest of them all. Remind me again, what is the new premiership quarter, Peps?
Third.
No, it's
Fourth.
Good, because Collingwood slammed home 7 goals in the last quarter to bury Richmond's season.
Good on you, Collingwood.
20 points up at 3-quarter time. The Tigers were, but the Pies.
Hot pies.
Oh, they were hot, and they
hot.
were all over it. Richmond didn't touch the ball in the last quarter.
So, J-Dog, it's come up a
Yes.
couple of times. You've mentioned it. It's coming up on the chat. Is 2021, even though it's so congested for teams trying to get into the 8 and teams that are in the 8, are there too many, excuse the term, I'll say it, are there too many shit teams in contention to make a final 8 spot?
It's a good
Like, are
question
they
to
just
say.
making
Yeah.
up the numbers? So even though it's close, even if they make it, they're not going to do anything. Is that what we're experiencing at the moment? There's just not enough dominance at the top of the ladder. I know it's an even competition, but really, if you dig down on it, it isn't that even.
Peps, let me share with you a story for our other podcast that we do, Burnout. What has been the number one team now for about 7 seasons in a row?
McLaren.
You were going to say the Mercedes team, weren't you? Yeah,
That's what I was going to say.
Lewis
Yeah.
Hamilton,
The
the
other one.
Mercedes team, and Bottas. Yep. Okay, now they are so far ahead of everyone else, it is not even funny. So the real battle comes in the midfield, and that's where it's been enjoyable. I think Melbourne are a cut above the rest. I'll put that on the record. I'm actually enjoying a bit of the mid-table battle here, Peps. I'm
Don't
enjoying
get me
it.
wrong, but the difference is, Jamie, there's no, like, the midfield teams then have to go into a final series against Mercedes. That's where I'm saying is that you're going to have teams play finals and potentially maybe the first week of finals might be close between those teams, but then they could get the blowouts.
They could.
And they could end up with another example of Melbourne 2016 or 2018 turning up to West Coast and not even kicking a goal in the first half.
Yeah, that's a pretty good day.
There's the potential for these type of games. There's just a bit of a sense.
I'm not worried.
I think there is. I think there's only literally 4 teams in the premiership race at the moment.
No, because I think the Bullies can beat you. I think that we can beat the Bulldogs. I think that Brisbane could beat you. I think that Geelong could beat you. I think that Geelong could get beaten by the Swans.
So all right. So let's go through it really quickly. And
Right.
what we'll do is I'll get the people on the chat to put their response in at the moment. All right. Tell me if these teams have a genuine chance of winning the flag. All right. Melbourne.
Yes.
Okay. Western Bulldogs.
Yes.
Geelong.
Absolutely.
Port Adelaide.
Not likely.
Okay. So, all right. Brisbane, with Hipwood being out now.
I'd have to see you next week.
Sydney.
Yes.
Okay. And anyone else after that we'll forget about. So there's 5 teams.
Yep.
I'm still expecting Sydney
The drop?
to drop a little bit. Yeah, I
Okay.
just think you can't have that many kids running around. It's going to get a bit tougher. And plus they've got the hub life as well too. They may not be getting back to Sydney. So I reckon that might take a bit of a mental toll.
Cross. It's getting bad there. Yes. Okay.
We saw with the Doggies not having Sydney not having Norton down there makes a massive dent. Bruce can't handle it just being all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Port struggled.
Oh,
When Melbourne haven't played 2 forwards, they've struggled. And Geelong at times this year don't even look like they're in the race as well too. They can be held back.
but then you've been beaten by the bottom
Yeah, but,
the bottom 16.
but that's
bottom
what
8
happens
teams.
when you play those lower teams. You're going to get pulled down to their level. It happens.
Yeah.
You know, you've played hockey. Everybody's played sport. When you play a worse opponent,
Yeah, get dragged down.
unless you get dragged down. It just happens, right? You have an off week. That's
happens on the podcast with me. The Peps, I do agree. I do think that Melbourne is a cut above the rest. I think that Western Bulldogs are probably the closest one to you, but I still think that both of your teams, or both your team and Western Bulldogs, are completely beatable.
Oh, no doubt. That's what I'm saying. I think we are completely beatable. I'm not getting too excited. I just want to get a top 4, and then we'll be happy from there, okay?
Tell me a season where it hasn't been one team who was just like torching the rest at one point where you're like, oh, this is over. It's happened every year.
Last year was a bit different.
Last year was different. Port was on top.
Last year was different. Yeah.
They were sniffing around. The same team was sniffing around. Geelong, Richmond, they were sniffing around.
Yeah. The year before Richmond lost it to Mason Cox.
Was that last year?
No, the year before.
Was the year before that, was it?
2018, sorry. 2018. Apologies. 2018.
That was a West Coast. That was a West Coast versus beating Collingwood after a 34.5 lead.
Mm-hmm. Yep, got beaten by Mason Cox. But they were the best team that year. Yep. And then West Coast happened to make a grand final. So I think the theory behind it is if you make the hardest game to win is the prelim.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get there, anything can happen grand final day. It just has to be an injury. Buddy goes down in the first contest of the year in 2016, does his ankle, virtually doesn't play, and the Doggies get across the line. They played out of their skins. Mm-hmm. The umpires wanted them to win. You watch what comes through on the chat now. But, yeah, you're right, though. Hawthorn were dominant throughout their time. Collingwood were dominant throughout their time. Geelong were dominant. This is the first year I see a team that hasn't really stood out to be dominant throughout.
Oh, so your team J-Well now? That it's great staying so open and it's not shit?
Yeah, I just think that at the top, it's okay. But in the mid, they're just going to get caught out. I just think there's too many pretenders. From the regular season perspective, who's going to get the final spots in the 8? Yes, but then once the 8 happens, I think they're just going to be too far out of their depth.
You watch it. We're going to get Kenny Hinckley's going to get the boys humming.
Yep,
we're gonna come hard.
Yeah, we're going to come hard.
We're going to sign him up for 10 more years.
Mate, put the tarps back. All righty. Okay, so now we've got that, it's time to splash a bit of cash. So just a bit of contract news, as we like to. Yeah, I like to just go a bit of the contract news. And so Joel Selwood has signed for another year, which is awesome to see. So good to that. Tommy Libba he's almost had a resurgence, hasn't he, this year?
Oh, he has.
He has had a resurgence, another 2 years. I still think it's going to ramp up over the next couple of weeks. I know that there's been some sign-ups at Adelaide. So they've signed up Matt Crouch, Talia, and Tom. All right. Yep. Okay, so they've got fresh contracts for them. Outside of that, it's been a bit of a lull after the last few weeks with Petrarca and Merritt and a few other bits and pieces too. So we'll just see as teams start to fall off the perch, putting their players in for surgery. Not tanking, but strategically getting them ready for the end of the year. We'll see what happens from that perspective. But more contract news, and when we have it, splash the cash, we'll have it. Hey, Nick from the podcast over there, Portraits Podcast, has made a great point. You never know. Finals run is different, okay? And finals form is different to form. But I just think I can't see a team outside of the top 4 winning it this year, where previously you might have. They're a little bit even. I just think there's too much of a gap between the top 4 and
Can you imagine if Ross Bartlett, can you put Ross Bartlett's comment up, please, Peps?
Yeah.
Please, that's not going to happen. No. They can't.
Well, Cochin is going to retire at the end of the year.
He's not going to retire. He's having a lean year.
He's cooked, mate. The game's past him.
Oh, don't be like that. You don't roll his stars.
The game has gone past him, just like when he ran past the ball and took out Sheila in the prelim. Rewald's done. You're not going to play him again. Open up the cash and bring in another big fish. I think Richmond need to start moving on a few of these and start to refresh because, has the team they've got at the moment going to take them to another flag? I don't think so.
Hey, Peps.
Okay? A year is a long time in football, Jamie.
It is. Should Collingwood sign up Harvey to the full-time job after a rousing win like that?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
No.
So Vossi's still on the run?
Certainly.
Vossi's still a chance.
Yep. Otherwise, they could do what Teague has done and what Reece Shaw has done, and we could keep going through all the situations where the caretaker coach has had a bit of a honeymoon period, signed them on, asses falling out of the next season.
All right. Who was this week's NAB riser, Peps?
Wow, Nab Riser. I reckon he would have the best hair at Essendon down at the hangar. I reckon he uses a bit of Pantene, maybe a little bit of VO5 hot oil. And we're talking about Archie Perkins. Career best game for him.
Easily.
Absolutely killed it against a menacing Adelaide on Friday night. 3 goals, 18 disposals, 338 metres gained with Cox, with Jones. The Bombers are looking good and they are definitely on the right path.
Yep.
Very, very well done. Samson, we're getting the Perkinator. We're getting Archibald Samson Perkins. All the names are coming out for the great man. But well done, young man. I think that's their 3rd one for the year. Great to see. So can't ask for much more than the young players just having a crack, can you?
No, you
teach the old
cannot.
ones. With him and Darcy Parish having career best seasons. Laverde has been amazing this year. Ridley's been going good. They've got something cooking, Bombers. Like I said, I'm willing to put my hat up and say I got truck rutting wrong. I thought the arse would fall out of this club, but no. And they've still got a chance to make finals. You just never know.
Yep.
All right, J-Dog, over to you, sir. What is your next piece of discussion?
I suppose the only one for me is really around the Freo.
Yep.
And a player that you and I both really like from Freo, and that's Adam Serra. Hasn't committed to the club just yet, and is out of contract at this season's end. So there is talk that Richmond and Eston are sniffing around, potentially looking to lure him to their clubs.
But how much do you pay him? And this is where I know he's a young kid, but you've got one or two options. You either stay and create a dynasty, or you go for the cash. Now, we know the players who have gone for cash. Zach Williams, a perfect example. But when they're throwing 850 grand, and that's apparently 800 to 850 a grand a year for Zach Williams.
For halfback.
You take that money and you run. You run like the wind, Forrest. You get out of there because Carlton is stupid for letting that one through.
Yeah.
So if Essendon or Richmond are going to offer him that, mate, take the money and run.
Yeah.
If they're stupid enough to give that to you, go for it. But that's what I'm saying. If Richmond are going to do that, they have to move some money on to release that.
Peps. All right. Is this part of a wider problem that the AFL needs to look at with these Victorian players heading to all corners of the map?
Yep.
Over in WA, which is a big, it's a 5-hour flight or 4-hour flight, or heading up to Gold Coast or wherever they are, and then getting a little bit homesick, or the call to Victoria comes up.
Yep.
Is there a bigger issue that the AFL need to start looking at for these sort of young players?
Oh, yes. Gambling, drugs. There's 2 for you. Like they're bigger.
But what about to stop these
Concussion
clubs?
factors.
What about this to stop these clubs
Yeah,
just losing their young talent?
Yeah, but see, I don't see it that way, mate. For every one of those I could say a Matthew Pavlich, South Australia, went over to the Dockers, entire career there. Nat Fyfe, over at Perth. He doesn't look like he's coming back.
What about the Victorian? What about the Gold Coast Suns, who have seemed to have lost? If you put the 22 players lost in the last 10 years, decent lineup.
I get that, mate. But there was reasons for that as well. They were shit. And when clubs are throwing money at them, I get that, okay? But they were compensated and they stuffed it up.
Who was compensated?
Okay? Well, the clubs get compensated for that, draft picks, etc. They don't do anything with those draft picks.
I'm just going to throw it out there. We can have a conversation about this another time. Obviously, we'd go much bigger with this. But is it worth we start to maybe look at some of these clubs like the developing clubs who go back to like the Freos and the Gold Coast Suns, and maybe chucking a little bit of extra money in their caps to keep some of these young players from taking the money back in Victoria, or the lure of a Richmond or the lure of an Essendon playing in front of 40 to 50,000 each year, each game.
No, I think it's all ducks and drakes, mate. I think it all works out in the long run. I do. I actually will take that back. I thought Nat Fyfe was Victorian. He's actually from Perth, so I take that one completely back. So I apologise for misleading you there, listeners. Yep. But I think it's all ducks and drakes, mate. You're going to get people who want to go back to Perth. You want to have people who go back to Adelaide. It all happens. I just think you need to create a culture where you want to play for the team and be part of a successful program. Okay. And I think if you can do that, you've got a massive chance. And that's why it was great to see the Suns. Did you see the passion after the Suns won on the weekend? Like there's actual admiration in that group wanting to play for each other.
Yes.
Right? Now, the other thing which is kind of interesting is that if you have a look at the players that have come back from some of those clubs, thinking the grass is greener, it hasn't been greener for them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Jager O'Meara went over to Hawthorn. He really hasn't really set it alight there. Okay. Jack Martin went over to Carlton. He really hasn't set it alight either.
No.
You've probably got Adam Sard. He went to Essendon. Like he set it alight but didn't get much success. He's gone to Carlton. Not going to get much success either. Now, for every Tom Lynch, you're going to get the other side. So,
Prestia.
Oh, 3 flags. Yeah, he's had a shocker. Same as Tom Lynch. Don't worry about Tom Lynch. You go and have a listen to some of the Gold Coast stories about Tom Lynch and how the players reacted to him when he wanted to leave. Let's just say that they were a lot of people were pushing the door behind him on the way out. Okay, and Tom Lynch is a bedwetter. Tommy Roker's back. Get on, Tommy, superstar. He's the one who's got all the goss on Tommy Lynch as well too. But no, I think it is all ducks and drakes. You've got to give it's like if you go to move to another company for a job. Okay, Caddy's another one. Yeah, he got a bit of success, but another one that's
Stephen May.
He's a cat. Yep, Stephen May, mind you, he had to learn the hard way. He came over to Melbourne, but he did his time there.
Daniel Gorringe.
Who? Daniel Gorringe?
He's pretty funny on the chat, Daniel Gorringe.
He is a pretty funny bloke, I must admit too. But yeah, there's plenty of people that you could look at and go, yes. And the same, look, you could say look at the Gold Coast, same sort of thing. Tom Scully went for cash, ended up coming back, and where is he at Hawthorn? Now he's to retire.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, it happens. So be it. It's part of the game. When you put your name in for the draft, you know that's the risk that you run.
Mm. It was just something I was like, okay, all right. I was just with Adam Serra. I thought he was the one that Freo would have gone. This is a kid that we could start to do something with.
Yeah,
maybe look at developing.
Yeah, but look at Andrew Brayshaw. Perfect example. He's a Victorian boy. He's over there at the moment. Looks like he's going to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, so which is good. Righty, OJ Dog. Have you got our listener question ready for this week?
No, I don't. So do you have anything at the moment? I'll just go through the last week's listener question. Can you bring that up, please?
Last week's listener question. Now, we are about to do last week's listener question. And if you remember what it happened to deal with who should be in the AFL Hall of Fame. That isn't. Now, I think a couple of people may not have completed a fair amount of research when it came to this because they were just dropping names left, right and centre. And some of the names that came up a few times. Gary Ablett Sr., he's actually in the Hall of Fame. So that one's just a little bit different, okay? But some of the great ones that came out of it is here we go here. What do we got? So Buzz said Gary Ablett Sr., but I believe he's already in there. Chris Mew from Hawthorn, John Peck, Gary Buckenara, Jeff Rains should also be in there. We don't understand how Chris Mew and Bucky are in there if Lenny Hayes gets in there. Then you get the smart asses start dropping names. Glenn Moss, definitely Aaron Norton. Joel Michael, Clive Waterhouse. Okay. So, you try and create a listener question which gathers a little bit of momentum, try to have a serious conversation about it. Someone even has said Hazim El Masri. We're talking about the AFL Hall of Fame, not the NRL.
Did Digby Morale get a run?
Digby Morale did not get in there. Brad Fox didn't get one in there. Alan Jarrett from the D's didn't get in there. Daniel Gorringe, no. So it was a bit the Kappa. See, I think Warwick Kappa should be in there. Okay, multiple Coleman winner. But the one that I've always said is Severio Rocker. Out of the top 15 goal kickers in the AFL, 14 of them are in the AFL Hall of Fame. There's only one who isn't, and that is the big Severio Rocker. Okay.
Hey, is it true that Gary Ablett Senior is not in the list?
No, Gary Ablett Senior is in the Hall of Fame.
He is in the Hall of Fame. Okay.
I'm going to check it again.
Is he in there? What do you think? I want you to do a
yes,
in-depth analysis.
He was. In 2005, he was brought into the AFL Hall of Fame. So I reckon he should be elevated to a legend. I definitely agree with that. But hey, and probably myself. I'm not in the AFL Hall of Fame. Definitely in the East Keeler Football Club Hall of Fame. I am a life member. I am an ex-president, 300-game player.
You're a president. Were you a president?
Yeah, president for a year. I don't know why. All right.
Really?
So I think we might have to go back to the favourite questions, which is all about food. And it is simply this. What is your favourite fast food brand? Is it KFC? Is it McDonald's? Do you like a bit of Dirty Bird? Do you like some Nando's? Do you like a bit of Krispy Kreme?
Can I add
whatever it is. Yep, go for it, J-Dog.
Brand and the go-to meal.
Ooh, if you want to get extra points, the go-to meal as well.
Because
all right.
KFC, you got the 3-piece feed, or you're feeling a bit of a zinger.
Oh, zinger.
Or you're feeling a bit of a wrap. What's the thing called? A wrap? What are they called again? It's been so long since I've eaten KFC. No, the thing's called. What are they called? The wraps. The wraps.
Zinger.
No, not a zinger wrap. Come on, someone on the.
I don't eat junk food.
Oh.
So let's move on to the last bit of the night. It's simply this. It's a 1 week at a time. What is the game that we're looking forward to this week?
You used to swing by Pizza Hut on the way home after work and grab yourself a little medium or large size barbecue meat lovers before you walked in the front door at your house.
No, the Twister. Rowan Meddings. Look at them all coming up with the wrapper. We've got Ro's come out with the Twister. Everybody must stop at Dirty Bird on the way home from work because they know exactly what's on the menu there. I actually used to go and get like Whopper meals when I was first going out with my wife, go and eat a Whopper meal and then go to the mother-in-law's for dinner.
Everyone always does the Macca's drive-through after a wedding because you know you're not going to fed at a wedding.
I used to do it before footy training. I don't know why. All right, buddy. Which game are you looking forward to this week? Round 18 coming up. Once again, Tipped Out will get into a lot more of that towards the end of the week. But what's the game this week that's capturing your eyes? Is the one that you think, I'm really looking forward to this one?
I am interested in. I think I'm interested in the first game of the.
There's a couple of nice ones in there for different reasons. Again,
the first 2 games of the round I'm interested in.
Yeah, Fremantle at Optus versus the Cats.
Yeah, super interesting.
I reckon the Dockers are a big chance after what they showed last week.
Yeah,
Brisbane is very gettable at the moment.
Yeah.
So they could put a dint into their top 4 and also give Richmond a shot. The one that I'm looking forward to, just from I wonder what's going to happen here, is GWS versus Sydney. Is Sydney going to continue on their winning ways? This is down in Ballarat.
Yeah.
So anything can happen there. That game. But I will also say
Battle of the Bridge in Ballarat.
The Saints versus Port Adelaide. Will the Saints go on their winning way down at Marvel, their home game, or will Port bounce back? Because potentially, what happens if you lose this one?
Big trouble. I think we fall outside the 5.
Big trouble for you, isn't there? Big trouble for everybody.
Oh, no, we're still going to be 5th, but we're going to be on the border of like that cluster that's sitting between 8th and 6th.
So it's either going to bring you back to the pack or you're going to split the crack and get a little bit higher as well too. So there's plenty of stories to come out of it. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, chairman of the VRC, distinguished guests, and the people from South Australia, that's our episode for tonight. That's it. Let's lace out. There's our round 17. Everybody on the chat, you have been sensational again. And you know, I can't do this show without the great man, Jamie Wallis. He is the co-host. I'll tell you what, if you could get a co-host like this bloke, you could have your own podcast. It won't be as good as ours, but you can have a crack at it. And that's what life's all about. So Jamie Wallis, the J-Dog, the big man, my friend,
Yes.
How do you want your footy?
I want it lace out, Peps.
Ladies and gentlemen, so do I. And let's just go out with this big one. Have a great weekend.
Kanga, kanga, kanga.
Roo, roo, roo.
Kanga, kanga, kanga.
Roo, roo,
Everybody!
Kanga.
roo.
Kanga.
Roo. Kangaroo.
Come on, Jake.
Kangaroo. Kangaroo. Kangaroo.
Have a good week, listeners. We'll see you next week.
Hey, listeners.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. I'm your host, Chris Pepper, and with Jamie Wallis, we give you your footy how you want it. Peace out.